The postbox screamed at me this morning. First time in 9 years. But of course, it used to do that all the time. The Earth is a very hostile place for people like me. Very big, very unpredictable, very loud. It's all daggers and needles and lasers and clubs and battering rams. The postbox isn't some strange hallucination, you see. It really does scream. It sounds like one of those horror movie damsels, magnified by the power of the entire national grid. And this is called stimming. It's what we do to tame the world. But it takes encouragement, because normal people don't do it, and you've always got to keep the normals happy. So I shut the postbox up, but I wasn't always this good. I try not to think about the early days too much for obvious reasons. A 7-year-old who was denied the comfort of social interaction, of friends, the stuff every 7-year-old needs. Because he flapped his hands a lot, talked too much, and didn't like football. Meanwhile, the sky was falling in each and every day. The earth was trying to kill me with its booms and crashes and spasms and tremors under my feet. There are no earthquakes in Scotland, of course, only in my world. And as if that wasn't enough, there was something stirring in the back of my mind like a hatching insect. An itch up here. I may have been alienated to the point of self-loathing, but at least I was self-aware. I was wired wrong, like a defective plug. So I did the only thing I could do. Blocked it out as best I could and got on with my schoolwork. And that was when Dr. Mackay came onto the scene. I remember him standing over my school desk like some towering wizard from a fantasy story. The room seemed to part and fold around him. Of course, I was stunned. You see, he wasn't tetchy or condescending or dismissive like most grown-ups were with me. In his office, it was like we were the only two people in the world. And the itch was quiet. An omen. He got me to do some tests on paper and said it was okay if I failed them. I'd never been told that in my life. Imagine. All this work and now it didn't matter if I failed. A few weeks later I was back in that office with my parents next to me, like a convict. And then they explained it to me. What I heard in the moment were words like spectrum and disability and autism. But what I understood was that everything was going to be all right. Dr. Mackay was going to help me. He said the world would soon become a less scary place if we really, really worked at it. And I said that I would. Because for once he wasn't some stuck-up, badly informed teacher raging at me to work harder and get better. I was finally being taught why the earth screamed at me, and that there was no sense screaming back. I was taught that this condition was not a missing part of me, but a part that no one else had. The right people were teaching me now, and I was discovering that I had hopes and dreams and talents like everybody else. I wasn't cured. This wasn't a quick fix. I simply knew why I was the way that I was, and that the suffering was not for nothing. So I made the madness work for me. I launched poems and prose and short stories against the quieting screams, and I felt the world start to shrink away from me. A taste of its own medicine. It wouldn't win, not while I was walking tall for the first time in my life. I remember standing in the playground, concentrating for one moment, and I felt the earth tremble beneath my feet. One final tremor, then nothing. The world warped around me. For one small moment, the earthquake was over, the screaming around me silent. First real moment of my life.